Factoring polynomials. Factoring perfect square trinomials. Let's look at this example. If we only knew trial and error factoring, this would be a hard problem because these numbers are fairly large. But there is a special case if we have a perfect square at the beginning of a trinomial and at the end. Most of the time, we can use the square roots and it will work. So we will make that guess. So we'll go ahead with our parentheses like normal. Do our regular sign rules. So this says do like signs, both plus. And we'll try the square root. So for 25x squared, we'll use 5x. For 81, we'll use 9. And we just have to check the outside and inside and make sure they give us our middle term. So we're going to check. On the outside, we multiply, we get 45x. Inside, 45x to give us the correct middle term. So this was a perfect square trinomial. I would always go with this kind of guess first when you start with a perfect square and end with a perfect square. If it's not a perfect square trinomial, the middle term won't work out, but the majority of the time it is when you have this set up. You may see the answer to one of these in a different format. They might write it with an exponent just because the notation is more compact. So you should realize that this is the same. 5x plus 9 squared is the same as the two separate binomials. I would just leave it here because this is where you can check from, but you do want to recognize it in the other form. Let's have a look at this trinomial. 100x squared minus 140xy plus 49y squared. Looks really big, but if you notice, your first term is a perfect square, and your last term is a perfect square. So we're going to guess that it's a perfect square trinomial, and we will use those square roots. So we'll do our sets of parentheses. We're going to do like signs, both minus. For 100, we'll use 10 and an x. On the end, we will use 7 for 49, and we need a y to get the y squared there. And then we check outside and inside to make sure we get the correct middle term. So minus 70 xy on the outside minus 70 xy on the inside gives a minus 140 xy. This was a perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomials are not too common, but they are easy to spot, and the majority of the time this works. If the middle term does not check, then it is not a perfect square trinomial. Try trial and error factoring or factoring a trinomial by grouping.